Hello again and welcome back to the Book of Brett and a special episode of Manic Movie Reviews. Today I'm going to be doing my first ever viewer suggested review. Although it is not over a new movie, I am pretty excited to get into this one. But before we get into this episode, I do want to encourage everybody, if you have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and consider hitting that subscribe button. It really does help the channel out, helps us grow, and the more we grow, the sooner I can go ahead and start focusing on this full time. For today's review, we're going to be revisiting No Escape Room. This is by far the most popular video on my channel, and I did have a viewer by the name of GGDior_ leave a comment that they wanted me to go ahead and re-review this movie, but focused on certain parts of it that they were kind of having questions over, which is exactly what I did. Now, I will say, upon reviewing it, my opinion of this movie has not changed at all. Like, I still did not like this movie. First of all, we're gonna go over Gigi's comment, which was, I want you to go back to this video and make another review, but on certain parts, like how it ended, who was the inventor, and who was the guy that fixed their car. And how did they end up back at the diner? Were they dead already after going to the diner or after drinking the tea? And if they were already dead, why did they have to still play a mind game being as though they're already dead? Please cover what you can. I recommend you revisit the movie again, which is what I did, for a more accurate answer. But I want to see what you think because you were dead on with damn near everything. Going through this movie, I still pretty much stand by everything I said before as far as how I felt about the movie, about how it's riddled with plot holes, and how it was basically, you could tell it was a made-for-TV movie. I think I mentioned this in the last review. It's shot really well. It is shot well. There is some weird editing that I later found out was because it was made for TV. So let's focus on Gigi's first question, which is asking about the ending. How it ended, who was the inventor, and who was the guy that fixed their car. Now, from what I can tell, the car got fixed by somebody that works at the diner. However, with the way this movie ends and there being locks on the glove compartment, locks on the engine or ignition, I really think that basically who fixed their car is the inventor or the house. Now, who was the inventor? I don't know. I have no clue who the inventor is because it's this one little thing, and as I said in the last review, it's one of those things that really could have been awesome had they really dove more into who the inventor was. But we don't really hear a lot about the inventor other than the first movie and then them finding things and still thinking it's a game. The only thing I can think of is maybe the inventor was the corpse that's in the crematorium that she's hiding in, but I also think that she mentions at some point that that was Josie, so I don't really know who it was. Another thing that Gigi mentioned was, were they already dead? I don't think they're already dead. There is a part of the movie where they mention that it could be an echo, that they could be reliving something that's already happened and they're reliving it over and over and over again. And I don't think that that would be the case for a couple of simple reasons. First of all, everybody that dies has a death scene. There's no insinuation of death. Everybody has a death scene. If I were to say at any point where they may have died, maybe at the point where Karen is on her phone and that semi-truck almost hits her until her dad saves her, maybe we could say that, hey, they actually ended up dying there, but there's never any insinuation that that could have been the case. However, it could still be the case because this movie leaves so much to the imagination. And I think that if there was any point in the movie that they did die, it was that. Because by the time they get to the diner and she's in the bathroom, there's voices and echoes going on that almost kind of insinuate something supernatural happening. So like I said, if they did die, I would assume that it had to be before they get to the diner. However, again, that doesn't necessarily make sense because they were able to get to the diner, which means there were never any locks on the keys or the glove compartment. There's also no cars out front of the house, which insinuates that they could be dead before they ever got there. Again, if we go through the succession of events throughout this movie, that's the only thing that really happened that could have insinuated them dying. So, like I said, if they are dead already, which I don't think they are, I think the house just has them trapped and they have to find their way out. Which is why this could very well be open for a sequel. If they do a sequel to this movie, I will begrudgingly watch it. But the only way I could really see that working is if they did some kind of direct sequel, like picking up right at the point where they realize they're still in the escape room, and the escape room is a lot more elaborate than they thought. Now, one thing that I touched on in the last review was the tea, and this could have been insinuated as a moment in them dying as well. It's also insinuated that it's the reason why, I can't remember his name, but the one character starts hallucinating. Well, let's just say that from experience, I know that this is not how ayahuasca works. So it's one of those things that I think is like just kind of thrown out there to maybe give a little bit more appeal to the fact that they did drink this tea that is very clearly dry ice with some pumps underneath it. If you want a further explanation of that, go check out the other video. Something I didn't really notice before though that I noticed this time through is this scene where we've got the fan going really fast, and they go, well, if you shine a light on it from a projector and you mirror that up onto it, you're going to get the succession of numbers. And the thing that I find so infuriating about this part is the fact that it's 4 numbers and it's going really fast. And when they shine it up, those numbers just pop up. And it's really stupid because they get the succession of numbers right on the very first try. I mean, we're talking about 4 numbers. There are endless possibilities of what this combination could be, but they happen to get it right on the first fucking try. And that really struck me as just a really dumb scene, because we're supposed to believe that they, out of all the combinations they could have gotten, they got it right the very first time. Going back to Josie, I really do love, and of course I mean that sarcastically, but I love how they believe they see Josie dying in the closet, and then in the crematorium, or the morgue, Karen thinks that she sees Josie's decomposing body. So in the span of about 10 to 15 minutes, she's gone from alive, dying, dead, to decomposed. And again, it was one of these things where it's really, really bad writing for the character, because there's no way in hell, and it makes me think that maybe that was the inventor, is the decomposing body, because there's no way in hell a body's gonna go from basically fresh to decompose in a matter of 10 to 15 minutes. Another thing that made absolutely no sense was the scene at the river. The only reason this exists is to create a creepy scene. And the reason that drives me insane so much is because it all takes place through the painting. A portion of the escape room, something directly related to the escape room. And this is something they could have used as more lore and more backstory. But again, it's just a scene that we get that's just creepy to show that the house is f***ing with the characters. Now, going back to the ending, first of all, there's a note that says it was just a valve, no charge. There isn't a mechanic on the f***ing planet that is gonna fix a valve free of charge. It's not gonna happen. And so that kind of stuck out to me, and that might be kind of a nitpicky thing, but I know for a fact no mechanic, especially in a small town where you're not getting a lot of business, there's no way this mechanic repaired that for free. And so I really feel like you could have either, if it's the house fucking with them and giving them hope, okay, fine, but I feel like there were better ways of doing that. And speaking of the ending, I think the best way to explain the ending to this movie is that either they still have to get out of the escape room and they haven't done so yet, or what I think is a more logical explanation is that they just simply didn't finish the escape room in time, and so now they're stuck in the escape room. So if they do a sequel, it's going to have to either be this like really time crunched episode of them trying to still beat the clock, or they're going to have to show them being just stuck in the escape room, maybe helping somebody else that's trapped in the escape room. Maybe one of them turns into what Josie does at the very beginning by showing the video. But I really think that that is the most logical explanation for this movie, is that they just simply did not beat the clock and now they are stuck in the escape room. But that is going to do it for me, guys. I know this is a little bit of a shorter episode, but this is also a movie that I've reviewed already. And if you do want to see the full review that I did last time, you can check that out. I'll link that down below and put a little card in the episode for it. I wanted to be able to address this because if more than anything, it had nothing to do with No Escape Room. I didn't like No Escape Room. It wasn't like I've been sitting around looking for a reason to go back and watch it, but I was really, really stoked that I had a viewer that made a suggestion like I've been asking for, and it really, really means a lot that they did that. So Gigi, thank you so much for your suggestion, and I hope this episode lived up to your expectations. If you have not subscribed to the channel, as I said at the beginning, please consider doing so. Hit that like button, hit that dislike button if you didn't like it, and please leave comments below. This video, the original review, full of comments, and I love seeing that. I love seeing the communication, the community, and all of that in the comment section. If you do have movie suggestions, please leave those below in the comment section, and I will see you guys next time.